भारत, खूबसूरती का एक अनुपम स्वरूप। एक ऐसा देश जो अपनी समृद्ध सांस्कृतिक विरासत का उत्सव मनाता है। पर्यटन मंत्रालय और इन्वेस्ट इंडिया के साथ अनूठे भारत के अनुभवों के ताने बाने पर रोशनी डालने की एक अनोखी पहल की है मास्टरकार्ड ने, जो नए भारत के आईने में उसकी समृद्ध सांस्कृतिक विरासत का एक खूबसूरत संगम है। मास्टरकार्ड के चीफ मार्केटिंग एंड कम्युनिकेशन ऑफिसर और प्रेसिडेंट राजा मन्नार ने भारत में priceless.com लॉन्च किया। ये वेबसाइट सभी यात्रियों के लिए अद्भुत और यादगार भारतीय यात्रा अनुभवों को पेश करेगी।
I have been very fortunate to inherit. I wish I could claim that I was the guy who came up with the word priceless. It was not me, but I inherited it. And when I inherited it, one of the things I saw was that it has the ability to connect with people in a beautiful way, in an authentic and a profound manner. And it can make a difference to the business, it can make a difference to the brand, it can make a difference to the competitive advantage that Mastercard can have. However, it was all about storytelling. Observe beautiful moments in life and encapsulate it into this kind of a format, which is something is so much price, something is so much price, but things like this are priceless. And for everything else, there is Mastercard. So that's how we actually went about it. But 10 years back when I took over, I said, probably we should go beyond storytelling. It should be about story making, which means we don't just spot priceless moments in people's lives and celebrate them, but we actually enable priceless in people's lives. So from priceless moments, we go to priceless movements, which means social impact, societal impact, environmental impact, impact to the planet, etc. Do things for the good. So we started first with United States, because that's where we were situated. We started with Priceless New York, curating these experiences that money cannot buy. It was an instant hit. Then we went to Priceless Chicago, Priceless Los Angeles, Priceless Miami. We went city by city by city. Then we went to international, Priceless London, Priceless Rome, Priceless, etc. Fast forward 10 years now, we have got a platform that is extremely robust. And it's a technological platform which houses all the experiences which are easy to be discovered or easily discoverable. And you can buy the experiences right from the site. You get confirmation. And when you go actually to the venue, you have got everything done in a seamless, flawless fashion. When it came to India, the thought was, what city should we launch it? Is it Priceless Delhi? Is it Priceless Mumbai? Now, I come from Hyderabad. So my bias was maybe you should start with Priceless Hyderabad. And then when you start looking at it, even tiny places, like, we were talking yesterday about a place called Sandur. These are truly priceless. Honestly, in the Western world, and I don't mean to trash anyone at all, in the Western world, particularly in the US, and Ms. Nivriti, you'll be most familiar with this, where they show you a building which is 100 years old. They say, this building is 100 years old. And they market the hell out of it. Here, anything you touch can be centuries old or even millennia old. Some of them are really, truly timeless, I would say. Not only are they priceless, but they're also timeless. It's incredible what we have got here. And I know, Prasoon, you have been very closely involved with Incredible India. What a beautiful way to capture the spirit of India, and that it's truly, truly incredible, right? So we said, okay, we should not be priceless city, but we should be priceless country in this case. So we said it'll be Priceless India. And so there is a lot of passion within Mastercard itself, saying that, okay, what can we do? And this could be our small contribution to drive people into the country, foreigners into the country, to experience the magic of India. And we have got presence as Mastercard in about 210 countries and territories around the world. And we have got enough amount of information in a privacy protected fashion as to how many people visit India from which country. So we know what they call as the tourism or the travel corridors. And we will market India in those various corridors from which you get the biggest number of people or have the potential to draw the biggest number of people. So we'll be doing this stuff, and we know a thing or two about marketing, hopefully, and therefore partnering with on the one hand, the Ministry of Tourism, which is an absolute privilege. And thank you very much for your support, ma'am. It's been incredible for us. And what a priceless opportunity it is for all of us to join hands. And with Invest India, we will do everything that we can. So I'm very excited, and it's absolutely my pleasure and delight to be launching Priceless India here today. Can you please show how the priceless experience looks like? Go ahead, please.
Let's have a big round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, Priceless.com in India officially launched.
प्राइसलेस का इनिशिएटिव इंडिया में लॉन्च करना काफ़ी गर्व की बात है मास्टर कार्ड के लिए, स्पेशली क्योंकि इसमें मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ टूरिज्म एंड इन्वेस्ट इंडिया ने हमारे साथ साझेदारी करी है। तो प्राइसलेस.com हमारा एक इंटरनेशनल प्लेटफॉर्म है जो हमने कम से कम 40 या 50 सिटीज़ के अंदर लॉन्च किया हुआ है, जहाँ पे हम उन सिटीज़ की कल्चर हेरिटेज को शोकेस करते हैं। तो इट वॉज़ वेरी नेचुरल कि हम उसको यहाँ पे इंडिया के अंदर लेके आएँ, और स्पेशली आज क्योंकि इतना ज़्यादा इस पर फोकस है टूरिज्म पे इंडिया में, G20 की बैकड्रॉप के अंदर आज हम उन शहरों के बारे में बातें करते हैं जिनके बारे में लोगों को मालूम नहीं था, जोधपुर, इंदौर, लखनऊ जैसे शहर जो सिर्फ हिंदुस्तान में लोग जानते थे। तो उस कारण हमको ये था कि ये ऐसा जो प्लेटफॉर्म है उसका इस्तेमाल हम गवर्नमेंट के इस विजन में इस्तेमाल करें, और इट बिकेम अ वेरी नेचुरल प्रोसेस फॉर अस टू डू दैट।
You know, our Prime Minister says, सही समय है, अभी समय है. So, the story is, why is the समय सही अभी? Because convergence of technology is happening. And second thing is, we have a dream. We are dreaming to be 10x economy by 2047. So when these two come together, what happens? We don't just work with our minds, we work with our hearts. Tourism has to be promoted with the help of technology. You have to do the zikr us parivash ka, which is our nation. And I love the Priceless India. Today, tourism is adding $200 billion to our economy. You know, a little, I would say less than 10%. And in the next few years, by 2030, it's going to grow significantly to, with local tourism, 250.
देखिए, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ टूरिज्म इस तरह के हर इनिशिएटिव को सपोर्ट करने के लिए तैयार है। प्राइसलेस इज़ अबाउट अनमोल अनुभव। तो अनमोल अनुभव बहुत सारे हैं जिनके बारे में हम जानते हैं, हम इनके बारे में जानकारी साझा कर सकते हैं। हमारे स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स के साथ हम मिलकर इन अनुभवों को पर्यटकों तक पहुंचाने में हम सहयोग कर सकते हैं। तो मोर और लेस मिनिस्ट्री का सपोर्ट इसी तरह से रहेगा। जहाँ भी आप कोई लोकल कम्युनिटी का अनुभव लेकर कोई अट्रैक्शन को आप आगे बढ़ाते हैं या कोई एक्सपीरियंस को आप क्यूरेट करते हैं, तो वो बहुत ऑथेंटिक एक्सपीरियंस होगा और उसमें वो एक सस्टेनेबल भी एक्सपीरियंस होगा, क्योंकि बाहर से आके बहुत दिनों तक कोई किसी एक्सपीरियंस को नहीं चला सकता।
Thank you all for being here. It really has been a priceless morning, and I'm honored to be joined by this distinguished panel of guests. Thank you all very much for being here. Srimati Saxena, if we could begin with you. It really has been, as you mentioned, the G20. We've had such a wonderful, successful G20 summit. We've showcased India to the world for the last 1 year. How do you think that confluence really of India's leadership of this international forum, the positive outcomes that have emerged from that, and the intangible heritage you mentioned, how do you think we can take this momentum forward to look at Priceless India?
So I would say that the G20 presidency, also the SCO presidency, have been great opportunities to showcase India to everyone in the world. And as part, the entire design curation of G20 meetings was to take them all across India. Probably no other G20 presidency has taken this initiative to show the length and breadth of the country in one year. To all the delegates, there have been so many tracks. I've been very, very privileged to do a Business 20 event in Mizoram, where I was before I joined the ministry, and as part of the ministry's initiatives for the tourism working group. So I think everywhere there has been, people have walked not just an extra mile, but probably miles and miles together to curate those experiences which really, which embody India in all her hospitality traditions, her culinary traditions, and including the heritage offerings. There have been do-it-yourself counters for handicrafts at every venue, where delegates have actually, dabbled in building, making some pieces of art, sculpture with the local artisans. So it's been a wonderful time curating all those activities. Those artisans are also very fresh, and I think this is the right moment to have probably a souvenir corner in every attraction where these artisans can be there permanently and they can work with all the visitors. I think this is also the time to use the MICE facilities that have been created at these 60 venues and have more and more conventions and conferences across the length and breadth of India. The connectivity, of course, adds to that advantage. So I think it's a win-win for everybody, because you will have, rather than doing every conference in, say, some tier 1 city, you have a choice for many, many cities, many, many areas, many regions.
Prasan, because you were also involved so much in the messaging around the G20, and just I think also the Incredible India, and you've been involved with Priceless India. When you look at these words, there's an intangible meaning behind them, and yet they somehow seem to fall short in describing the civilization, the Indian heritage, and the India that's looking forward. How do you encapsulate the so many different versions of India, the many different avatars? How do you manage to encapsulate that, and how does a campaign like this, do you think, blend in with that?
Thank you, Sonia. First of all, thank you, Raja, for organizing all this. Everyone here, I think it's a great opportunity, and I think it's a great idea, because I am a great believer in the thought of priceless. And I think yesterday I talked about how priceless is about what can't be bought and what is the priceless in your life. I think it very well resonates with the murmur culture, as I talked about, the murmurs of our lives. I talked about that if you want to listen to flute, you'll have to ask the dholwala to go a little slow and pay a little attention to the nuance. And I think India is an intricate country with so many nuances. And I think Priceless could be a beautiful way of telling those beautiful stories which are intertwined in our lives. Coming to what you asked me, how do you sort of tap into and create phrases which resonate with people? Actually, they are very much part of our ethos. I tell you, I did a campaign for tourism earlier called Atithi Devo Bhava. Now, this was another wing of Incredible India part. It's a part 2, which was for internal audience, that how do we treat our guests. And we didn't have to look too far to find a line like this. Why could we easily find this? Because, if you look at the ethos of this country, the very deep ethos of the cultural ethos, the spiritual ethos of this country, the concept that there is no other, there is oneness. We don't treat somebody as other. Now, this is the biggest barrier to a stranger, which doesn't exist because the ethos of the country says there is no other. So there is this sense of belonging to every entity. Now that enables you to say, Atithi Devo Bhava, my doors are open. Because I deep down do not have resistance for a tourist coming. This is one important part for tourism, or for attracting people to share my experience. Come and share with me. Be with me. I think, a very collective approach towards life. That's probably what allows you to come up with anything. So it's very important that periodic festivals and celebrations, they do a lot of good to us. Look at what G20 has done to us. Look at what happened to Pragati Maidan. Now it's a fabulous place to go to. So I think it's important that India also has events, because we have a culture of events. That's why so many festivals, everything is celebrated. Because there is a certain economy and certain structure which emerges with these festivals.
I think, Gautam, and if you could come in on this part, the point of celebration, and I think really the point of hospitality, the point of celebration in the Indian tradition has always been something which is unique to us. So even when you look at Priceless India, it's something which is looking at an Indian perspective of how tourism should be. While, of course, marketing is a key aspect in that, it's also just about the celebrating our heritage, our new India, our digital public infrastructure. How are you bringing all that together, and why do you think the right time is now?
So I think the diversity and the scale that India has to offer is something that is unmatched. And therefore, for us, as part of Priceless, this became a very natural place to, come to. Because at the end of the day, we are able to offer experiences much more easily. It's a task for the team to figure out which one to actually deprioritize, if you will, right? Manisha ji put this challenge. I think it'll be a tough challenge because I think Delhi's going to win. But the reality is that there is so much to offer that how will we choose not to offer something? So I think what India has been able to do with technology, with process changes, added to the fact that we have a lot to offer, it makes a difference. And then, of course, you can't miss the fact that this is probably the country that has defined the playbook for digital payments. I work for Mastercard. I can't not talk about digital payments at a forum. So I think if you just look at all of that package together, it's just a perfect storm in many ways for someone like us to come and say, we want to be part of that and, contribute to that.
Mr. Chandar, how will the hospitality sector, how will the Taj and other huge iconic Indian brands in hospitality actually ally with this whole interest in India as an economic power, as a diplomatic power? How is that going to actually come together and become a confluence?
So we are in very interesting point of time as far as Indian hospitality is concerned. G20 with these 60 destinations, the way they have been unlocked, with a lot of new experiences being showcased. Every state actually today is pitching and opening up their places to get people into their states and look at what's going on. So from a hospitality point of view, tourism and hospitality is very symbiotic. So we need tourism needs hospitality, and we need hotels, and we need destinations to kind of open up to have infrastructure. And in the same way, for hospitality, we need tourism to come in to fill up our hotels.
Our final thoughts this afternoon, Gautam. Really, I think also when we look at sustainability, accessibility, inclusivity, as Prasan was saying, really that is the whole ethos of India, inclusiveness. How do we in this Priceless India campaign focus on these aspects which are so important to us today?
So from an experiences perspective, we want to show what India had to offer from a heritage perspective that was sustainable for the time that it was built. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is also from a technology perspective. We are in our platforms building more consciousness around what we do as part of our travel experiences. That is around our carbon footprint, as an example, right? So we've put that. There is a sustainability index that we are also measuring as part of that. I, as a traveler, may not be very conscious around sustainability, and so how can they educate me? Can be a track that can be there on this. So a lot of things we can do around it, but it will have to be a combination of the experiences themselves and also what technology can offer for you to become more conscious around sustainability.
And Manisha ji, final thoughts from you today. We've heard so many, just this conversation has had so many priceless anecdotes come up. What for you, and I know this is difficult because you're in charge of tourism, what for you has been one of your most priceless experiences so far?
My most priceless tourism moment was having a cup of tea in Andamans, and the sheer rhythm of that person making the tea was so beautiful. It was like, an orchestra playing out a symphony. And I think that is one of my most priceless moments.
I think that's lovely. And I think what's fascinating is that each priceless moment is so unique and different for each one of us. So thank you all for being here. Congratulations, Raja and Gautam and Mastercard, the entire team, for this absolutely wonderful campaign. And we look forward to partnering with it in the future. Thank you all very much. Thank you so much.